Today I have Bailey on the YouTube channel, and I'm just so excited to have her because one thing that I really believe in is community over competition, and we could be considered competitors. We both do website VIP days for different website platforms, but I love that you are just willing to share your knowledge for other designers and just be open with it all. So, first, can you just let us know a little bit about your background, when you started your business, and when you started to implement VIP days?
I would love to, and thanks for having me on. I'm so glad, just like you said, it's never just about competition. Like getting to meet other designers is always a really fun thing. So I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation. And let's see, so I'm the founder of Honeywave Creative. I started this business around 5 years ago, and so around the height of COVID. And we have specialized in just primarily design days now. I started doing design days about a year in, probably, to the design journey. And the biggest kind of reason why I was doing it was just because we had gotten to the point. Well, let me backtrack to whenever we started designing, my website process was 2 weeks and my branding process was 1 week. So it was already a pretty accelerated process.
Mhm.
I didn't realize it. That was just the course I signed up for. That was the process that they taught. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then so I was doing it that way. But after about a year, I realized we were booked out for like 4 months. And so I'd have clients who were having to wait 4 months to get in. So I was losing a bunch of people. And I was also like, there was no flexibility in the schedule. So if I ever wanted to go on a trip, I'd look at the calendar and be like, well, crap, for the next 3 months, like I literally can't leave on a Friday because I'm already booked in for that Friday. And so it was really just challenging and kind of aggravating in that part. And if somebody rescheduled the week before, it was just kind of a lose-lose situation for everyone. And so that's whenever I just reevaluated the process, everything that we were doing, and saw that there's a lot of maybe downtime or inefficiencies in the process. And I just reworked it and leaned fully into the design days and started doing it that way. And I love it.
Yeah, and if you watching this are interested in like learning how to become a website designer, I one have heard great things about Paige Brenton's course, so I'll link that below. But
I haven't heard
also, um, Bailey is gonna have a little website in a day situation,
that.
so we're gonna put a wait list below for that. But also, now my next question for you. When you started, because you started offering VIP days a year in, which is, did you know the platform very well? Did you learn it in college? Like, or did you just don't know it for a year?
Pretty much a year, yeah. Because
Okay.
I mean, I went to school for marketing and business, so like I had the marketing background, and then I had my MBA in or business administration, got my master's in it, and so I had the like strategy business mind behind it, and got to learn all that side of things. But I didn't learn how to actually design in Illustrator or how to actually design in WordPress. That was all just like learned it as I go, watched a bunch of videos, figured it out, and I
Yeah.
think we were able to just, I mean. We were doing so many design, or at that point, I was doing so many designs, and I was just like living and breathing it. I didn't have anything else to do, no kids, no like anything. I was just living it. And so
Yeah.
I was just able to pick up on it really quick and start figuring things out.
Yeah. So you do WordPress. Why did you decide on WordPress?
Honestly, that was the first one that I started with. So
Okay.
that was the first one I saw. And if I'm looking back on it, I think I actually started WordPress because you could do it for free. Like you didn't have to pay for a
Yep.
subscription.
Me too.
But
That's why I
looking,
started on WordPress.
yeah, but looking back on it, I'm so glad that like it was a happy coincidence because I feel like it has so much flexibility. Like we use Elementor as a page builder,
Okay.
and pretty much anything that our client were to ever ask for, we could do it for them. And it's not a situation where we have to code it. It's just a drag and drop, so to speak. Everybody likes the drag and drop terms, but we're able to design it in a visual way, and I love the flexibility that comes with it.
So are your designs custom or do you use a template?
They are custom, yeah, which
Okay.
that's whenever we tell people we do it in a day, everybody's like, oh, you have to be using a template. Like, that's all of the haters. They're like, no way you're doing that. You're using a template. You're lying. And I'm like, literally sit behind the screen and watch with us all day long. I promise you, we're not using a template.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say, so for Shopify websites, do you design it all in Shopify?
Like once, twice in my life.
So we do e-commerce websites in Shopify.
Okay.
And for the Shopify websites, we do start with a theme. So that's the one kind of like caveat to that situation. But it's because if you've ever used a Shopify or tried to design in Shopify, if you try working with one of the free themes, you have to completely code like everything to make it look good. Even accordion drop-down menus, anything like that, like has to be coded. And so what we do is we have our clients purchase one of the premium themes, But whenever I'm telling them the premium theme situation, I'm like, look, we're not looking at it because of the design. Like it's going to look totally different by the end
Yeah.
of it. We're not copying the theme, but I need you to look at it for the functionality. So like if you want a blog page, we need to find a theme that has a blog page because if not, it's like you can't do any styling with it.
Yes.
If you want FAQs and you want a drop down, we need to find one that has that. So it's more so using the Shopify themes for the
Mhm.
functionality that they provide and not necessarily the design, but we do use that for Shopify.
Yeah. So I design on Squarespace and Showit. And
Yeah.
with Squarespace, you're kind of required to start with a theme. So it's the same
Yeah.
situation where I'm like, y- you will start with something. And I do
Yeah.
the way my process works prior, which we'll go in more into your process as well, is they do a lot of prep work. But one of the things that they do is I do some research prior to the day about like what webs like random websites, or maybe it's templates, or maybe whatever.
Yeah.
And I just send them a whole bunch of them because I don't have the time and capacity to like really dig into like their mindset of what they like. I mean, they create a Pinterest
Yeah.
board, but like so I just send them templates and stuff and go like, tell me what two or three you like. And based on that, I'm able to be like, okay, they like this type of menu. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna find a base template that has that type of menu or whatever. Just so I'm
Yeah.
not like having to do those type of things.
Everything.
Yeah.
You might do too. We introduced this a year ago, 2 years ago, but as a part of our Trello board, like one of the tools, resources that we provide them for the prepping is I have a Google Sheet and we just have like a list of really cool websites and I have them split up by category like whimsical, masculine,
Love it.
professional. And that way we have it linked and everybody can use the same one, but they can go in like just to the category and they'll be like, oh, I like this style and pick out the ones they like. And it makes it easier for us to go in and be like, okay, that's the style you're going for. Easy. Got it. Let's do it.
I think you pretty much just nailed what I have found to be the success of website in a day, which is you need to have some systems and workflows in place prior, or
Yeah.
you will fail. Like you will be,
Yeah.
you can't repeat the process. And so that
Yeah.
is brilliant. I might have to like, because that is one thing I use Dubsado, and so they do have like,
Same.
7 to 10 emails they receive prior,
Yeah.
but that is one email I customize every time. And I probably don't need to be doing that. So good idea. Good idea.
I always try it every year. So we use Dubsado and then we also use Trello just as like project management. And that's where clients go in and they can start adding their information and we add stuff back for them. But every year at the beginning of the year, I take a look at our Trello board template that we use for everybody in the onboarding. And I'm like, what can we do to streamline this more? Like if there's anything where I know people always have questions or if, I don't know, if there's something that maybe we could provide more for, ask how we can streamline and then how we can provide more by maybe like for example, that Google Doc list, that's something that we just had to make one time and everybody can use it.
Yeah.
Or like we'll do launch graphics, like we have some Canva templates in there for launch graphics whenever they're done. That way, like
Brilliant.
anybody can make a post promoting their website, but we don't have to go in and I used to individually go and style templates for everyone. Half the time they wouldn't use it, 90% of the time they wouldn't use it. So that way, stuff like that, it's like you're giving them that value without having to necessarily go in and do it every single time.
Yeah, that's so smart. Um, how many websites have you done? How many website in a days have you done? Let's start there.
So you mentioned whenever you said it on your story the other day, because you're like, you said over 300. And I was like, I actually need to go and update that number. I haven't counted recently, but that number was from like last March. And
Okay.
so I think we're closer to 400 now, if not surpassed 400. We've done a lot of I should say this, one day websites and one day brands. That's counting both, like that's counting design days in general.
So how
So
many people do both, like get your brand and your website? Do people do that ever or no?
yeah, it really just depends. Our main offering is the one day website. That's the one that most people will do.
Yeah.
And then with that, we have like a mini brand add-on option. So some people will get a little mini brand added to it, or we have it to where they can combine the two of them and they can get a little discount on it, but they get brand and website. And we have people that do both, with the one day website being the more popular one.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your process. I mentioned mine. What do they need to do prior? Do they need to have their brand, their colors, their fonts? Like what do they need?
So if they're not paying us to do the brand, we do need some sort of branding situation. And typically people will have that already. So I'll just have them send over their logos, colors. For fonts, it's nice if they have the fonts, but also sometimes I don't like the fonts. So I'll usually ask them, like, I'll see what fonts they have. And if I don't like it, I'll be like, are you okay if I maybe mix it up, do a little different font? And usually people are really receptive to that and like, oh my gosh, yes, please do whatever looks good. But we do require them to give us that. Or even if they don't necessarily have a color palette, like just go on Pinterest and find a color palette you like. That way I can use it.
Yeah.
But they either need to have it or we will design it for them with either the mini brand or the bigger package that we have.
Okay. And then what other prep work do they need to do?
So I have some other questions for them to answer in the Trello board.
Yeah.
We've tried to really limit that down to, like I said, like trying to make it as simple as possible for them, but just things like, what's the name of your business? What do you do? Like little description, target audience. And then the biggest piece of the prep work is typically the words for the website. And how I used to do it, I used to just be like, okay, give me the words. What do you want me to put on here? And I felt like people were just kind of like twiddling their thumbs, like, I don't know what to write. Like, because it's hard to know what to write if you can't see it. And so to combat that, we put together, we call it our DIY content writing guide. And it's basically an outline of the most popular pages people need. So home, about, services, contact are the main and we have an e-commerce version as well. So if they have an e-commerce, we'll send them that one. But it outlines the most popular pages with the most important sections that are like really great for conversions. We do it all in a strategic way so that we're really guiding people through the journey of like somebody who may not have ever heard of them before to somebody who's ready to take their wallet out. And it has prompts in there of what to write, and it even has like chat GPT prompts so that if they
Love.
don't necessarily want to write it themselves, they can just go in and in 15 minutes they have all the words ready to go, and it sounds really great, and it also works really great on the website from a strategic standpoint.
Yeah. Okay, so now you have your colors, do they do a Pinterest board or anything for you?
Yeah, so for websites, for brands, I require Pinterest. For websites, I either tell them like both would be great, Pinterest and Inspo, but if they don't want to do Pinterest, like at least make sure you give me some websites that you really like so I can kind of
Yeah.
reference as a visual point.
Yeah. And what happens if they don't do this, or do you have every single client do all of this?
We have every client do it. Yeah, we have. So
What?
before our design days, we have a prep call. It's usually like a 20-30 minute call. But on that call, it's the week before their design day. We get together and we look at everything in Trello. And I'll tell them before, like in the email that they get where it's has it to schedule the call in, it says on this call we're going to be talking about XYZ. You need to have it finished. And so usually that urges them to the finish line to get it done. But then we get on the prep call and we'll go through everything together, just make sure we're on the same page, make sure we have everything. If we are missing anything, I just make a little to-do list for them in the Trello board and I say, okay, these are the action items. I need you to get me this login. I need you to fill out the words for this section, whatever it may be. And then they go in and I feel like it helps take maybe a bigger equation down to a smaller one. And they're like, oh, okay, like I just have two things to do. Let me go in and do it real quick. And
Yeah.
they're ready for design day.
Okay, that's such a good takeaway too, because I get on the 30-minute consultation call, like discovery call
Yeah.
to see, just so they learn more,
Yeah.
where they book or they don't book, but then I don't talk to them besides the emails they receive. I don't talk to them. And so if they book a month out, that's a long time to not have
Yeah.
me in my accountability.
Yeah.
Um, so I love that you get on a call with them. How far out do people usually book?
Well, that's the other thing I was going to ask. Whenever they book with you, do you have them like pick a date out right then and there, or do they pick it later?
So the way my Dubsado is set up, like in terms of the emails triggering, it's based on the
Yeah.
date of their website and day. So I do require them before they sign the contract or receive my invoice. Yeah, they decide it on my day.
Okay.
And
That
something that
might
we
be
talked about
something.
before when we were chatting is I'm a mom of a 1 and a 3-year-old. And so part of the reason I pivoted to website in a days was because I was like, if I can do two websites in a day for 1850 each, I'm making pretty good income. Um,
Yeah.
and I was charging 1500, but I was like, I don't have a lot of support here where I currently live. And so I wanted to fly my mom for those website in a days, which is also like it usually works out fine, but there's a couple of times when it's kind of bitten me in the bud when people don't finish their work because then I can't do their website in a day. And
Yeah.
if I can't do their website in a day, I just paid for my mom to fly out. So,
Yeah. Terrible.
yeah, we need to fix that in the contract a little bit.
So something you might try, and I don't know how this would affect the automations that you have set up, but I don't have them book a day in the beginning because like that's before they've seen the Trello board or like the things I need from them. And I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes people are like, oh, like I need to get pictures together, and they hadn't even thought of that before. And so what I do is we onboard them, get them all the information that they need so that they can start adding at their pace. If they want to do it the next day, great, we can do it the next day. Or if they want to like give themselves some time, they can. And we have the booking link inside of their Trello board so that whenever they're ready, it's there. They can pick out their day. And we usually have at least one day available every week. but they're not booking it too far out in advance because then I feel like you'd have a bunch of people rescheduling too. And
Yeah.
that too, if I see people like if somebody has a day booked in and I look and their Trello board's not done, I'll be like, before they even do the prep call, say like, hey, does this day still work for you? Do you need more time? Like if you still want to do it now, like you're gonna have to start putting some stuff in so we can have what we need for your design day.
Yeah. Are you doing all of this? I'm sure you have some type of automation like Dubsado or
Yeah.
something, but do you have an assistant that's doing this for you? Are you doing all that?
For this part of it, honestly, I think it's mostly all automated up to this
Okay.
point. Yeah, I do
Okay.
have assistants to help out, but so I do have an assistant. She started like 2 months ago, and she started doing the onboarding videos, which has been a tremendous help because I've tried different ways of like, I tried automating the onboarding video, and I felt like there wasn't that personal connection, and so I didn't like it because I like every step of the way for there to be a personal touch point where people feel like really taken care of. And
Hmm.
so I didn't like automating it entirely. And then I liked recording the videos for them just to like give them the nice personal welcome. But it made it difficult whenever we'd have like 4 design days back to back and somebody would sign on Monday or even the Friday before. And I'm like, I need to get them onboarded, but I didn't want them having to wait until the end. So it's nice having her to do those onboarding videos. That way I'm not being the roadblock in it. And we're having the onboarding like constantly flowing out so that they can get started with their projects and we're not breaking the momentum. They can stay excited about it.
Yeah. And you have an assistant in terms of like somebody else who helps you with during the day, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Kyle is with us in office. He's been with me for like 2.5 years now. And I was doing design days before him too, but now we do even more instead of 1 or 2 a week, we do more than that a week. But I do have him in the office helping with the actual design days.
So another question, who is your ideal client, or are you just seeing like everybody across the board?
I mean, we see a lot of different people, and that's one of the most common. I know you just niched down to it, and I was like, but um, no, it works. It works really well for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that in like a negative way.
Well, I'm over here thinking like, was it right for me to niche? I'm every day I'm like, I should change my website homepage. I don't think I should have niched down. So anyway,
It works really, it just depends too. And like if you really like what you're doing on it, then like it works well for you. Like I get bored working with the same type of people over and over again. So I
yeah,
really like that we have a wide range of people that we work with.
people have like the similar years in business. Are you
Yeah.
getting like, are they personality traits similar or even like, is it a website revamp usually or like a completely like brand new in business starting their website?
So we have people who are brand new, but usually it is people who've been in business for at least like 1 to 3 years, sometimes longer, but usually 1 to 3 years, I'd say is a sweet spot. And really just if they're a business owner who is clear on what they're selling, like they know their offers,
Mhm.
they like efficient solutions and they're ready to like get a new presence online. Those are kind of the area where we find our sweet spot.
Yeah. So that's something we do different. Um, I'm working with a lot more brand new business owners, and I want to give you guys who are watching this kind of a honest reflection. Um, I think that probably Bailey has a little bit more success in terms of clients being happy. Not that clients aren't happy with my website in a days, but when they go in and they are new in business, you're also navigating some insecurities. I worked with a website in a
Yeah.
day with a client who was a counselor. She had her years of practice, like she was confident in her counseling practice. The website in a day went perfectly. It was amazing. She
Yeah.
was happy. It was wonderful. 2 years later, she came back to me, which was so awesome. I was honored.
Yeah.
Because she was starting a coaching business. And the dynamic was completely different because she wasn't sure of her ideal client that she was coaching, which that determines the color palette, that determines the
Yeah.
prints I use. Like, and so the dynamic was also more me just trying to encourage you, you're gonna be so good at this. You're gonna like, well, she will, like she's gonna be a
Yeah.
freaking amazing coach, but it's just a different you can so think about that when you're thinking. So in some ways
Yeah.
you do niche
Yeah.
down, like you said, you're not really having to navigate that as much as
Yeah.
you worked with 400 clients, so I'm sure you've had some, but overall,
Yeah,
not as
it
much.
definitely helps whenever people are clear on what they want and who they're speaking to before they get into it.
Yeah, that is something I've definitely noticed. So how many VIP days are you taking a month usually?
So
Or
I
a
would say
week?
we average around 3 a week. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 2. I mean, this week we only have one, which is a nice like slow down break week for it.
Yeah.
But I would say we usually get anywhere between like 10 to 15 design days a month that are
Okay.
coming in. Yeah.
And one thing that we were talking about before too is it takes a special type of designer to do design days. And so you really need to think about, are you a pixel pusher? Are you a perfectionist? Because website in a days may not work for you. And so when you talked about you had Kyle on your team, like how do you find someone who can work at that pace and that energy level? How did you find someone like that?
Yeah, so Kyle actually came to me. He found me on Google and like just called up and was looking for a job. I was like, actually, I was like in the middle of doing 3 design days back to back, and I was like, actually, I do need help. Yes, let's do an interview. And so he came in, and whenever he came, he's very artistic. Like he draws and he paints, so he has that like creative mindset to him. But he had never actually done a website or like used WordPress or done anything like that. Or
What?
and he, yeah, he knew Illustrator, but not like a ton of Illustrator. So very much beginner, but we just, I mean, kind of like what I was saying earlier, we're in it every single day. And so he picked up very quickly. And now we're at the point where he's in the design days with me every day, coming in, helping me build out all the pages, and he knows what he's doing really well.
That is so awesome. Okay, let's dive into clients. And something that I've experienced, if I'm just being honest, is a lot of clients feeling very overwhelmed at the end of the day. So if you are not experiencing this, how do you prevent that?
Uh, well, I mean, what does your process look like at the end of the day?
Yeah, so I think that's part of the reason too that they feel overwhelmed is a lot of them don't
Yeah.
know Squarespace or Showit. So we get at the end of the day, they get on an hour call with me, 45 minutes to an hour, and I record it. And so I always tell them like this will be recorded. You don't need to memorize every single thing I'm going to tell you. Um, and then I take them through how to edit their website. So, and maybe that's a differentiator between us. I don't know if you provide ongoing support, but one of the things I love about Squarespace and Showit is it is super user friendly, especially Squarespace. And Showit has a phenomenal support team
Yeah,
that will like go on the back end of your website and be like, when you're like, I can't figure this out, they'll go onto your website and be like, this is how you do it, and they'll send you a video.
that's
So
awesome.
there isn't a need for me to do ongoing support. And like we talked about, I am working with people who are brand new. They can't afford ongoing support.
Yeah,
So in that hour call, though, even though I tell them it's going to be recorded, they just leave feeling like,
freak out.
especially if they're not tech savvy or which most aren't, it's just a new platform. So they just leave overwhelmed.
Yeah, yeah. When you do revisions,
That is something that I don't. So they get their homepage. The homepage takes the longest for me, so it
yeah,
takes a couple hours.
same.
And then I send it to them, and while they're like reviewing it or whatever, I'm working on the about page or the contact or whatever. Um,
Okay.
and so I say like, hey, you can send me back ideas, revisions, whatever, and I will try to implement them during this day. And then they might send me back, I would say maybe like 50% of the time, and it's usually like change this text, and I'm like
Yeah.
this is
You gave
copywriting.
me the
This is
text.
not design. This is copywriting.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I'll like try to kind of like twinkle it in throughout the day, those changes. And then for how my process works is I finish up the 3 custom pages or the 5 template pages, and then I do the mobile optimization, and I kind of mobile optimize during, and then I do the SEO. So I do the keyword research, I implement the
That's
SEO,
nice if you do
and
that.
and then we go on the call. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of revisions to answer your question there.
Okay. So our process is very different on the actual day itself of like how we do it.
Okay.
So we start the beginning of the day designing, and I don't show them anything until 3 o'clock. I don't do a homepage, but part of the reason why I don't show them anything before is because I feel like it doesn't start looking good until like the 2 o'clock point of the day where I have the pages, I can see everything together, and I'm able to go back and really start like merging the pieces, like, oh, let's add a pattern to make it match this page, get it really consistent, like go back and do touch-ups on it and like add the frills and the bells and the whistles, the movement, all the stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they don't see anything beforehand. And that lets me go back and make sure it's fine-tuned and ready for them to see it. And then at 3 o'clock, I will send them a video. I don't get on a call with them, but I send them a recording of me going through the website and just talking them through everything. Like, hey, this is the homepage. We did this. I know you wanted this, so I added it here. Like, talking them through everything, letting them see what it looks like. And then I send that video over to them. And what I love about doing the video is it frees up a lot of the time at the end of the day to do revisions.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
while they're watching the video, I'm not having to like wait on them. Me and Kyle are in the back end doing responsiveness, making sure all the button links are working. And the entire day, we are just chugging along. It's just a little 15-minute break for me to step out, record the video, send it over to them. And once they see the video, I have them go into the Google Doc where they added the words and they can start adding revisions in. And they just list out any changes that they want. And that makes it really nice because they're organizing their thoughts as they go. I usually give them like a little head start on it. So they get like 30 minutes of going in, adding any changes they want. And then Kyle and I will start going back in and we'll just go through it. We highlight it as we go so they know what change was made and what change wasn't. And usually that 2 hours at the end of the day, we usually wrap up like 5:30 is plenty of time to get in any of their changes. And at the end of the day, they're just like super excited and happy to launch. And then for the training, I don't do the training live with them. I just give them access to our training video library. I used to do live train, or I didn't do live trainings ever, but I used to record a separate video for everyone. And I found that usually the video was too long, people wouldn't watch it. And so now having this training video library, I have everything in little bite-sized pieces. If they need to change out an image, they'll go and watch the image video, or how to change out text, they can do that. And it makes it a lot more approachable because it's not like information overload and they get to just sit with their website at the end of the day and be happy with how it looks without having to like stress about like the future type of stuff if I need to make changes.
That is so smart. This is the difference about having done 45 and 400 is I feel like you're like, no, we're not messing around with this. That is so
Yeah.
smart to, especially the bite size, because that is
Yeah.
like, because I was like, how does that work? Because everybody's website is so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, like having a video about how to change out a photo, that's something I teach on every single one. So that
How to
is,
log in, even the like the simple stuff. And I used to think
yeah.
too, like I'm actually about to redo the videos again. Just I like always want to make them better, but I started with just having a couple of long videos and they were like an hour long. And I'd say, oh my God, like I show you how to do this. Like watch the video. I can tell you to watch the video. But then whenever you start getting the same questions from people over and over again, it's time to reevaluate. Be like, okay, why is nobody knowing how to log into their website, even though it's in the first 2 minutes? Well, it's because they see that it's an hour-long video and they don't want to watch it. Whereas
Yeah.
if I just take it out and say, okay, label it underneath the video, how to log in, they can click on it, see it, done, get what they need, and it makes it a lot easier. So just little stuff like that.
Yeah, that is very, very smart. So what time do you start? And then you said you get done at 5. How many hours is it?
I usually start around 8. If
Okay.
I feel like it, I'll get in a little early. I don't have to, but sometimes I just like getting in early and being able to do stuff before. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'll usually start around 8, and at 8 o'clock, that's whenever I send them. So they get a Starbucks gift card in the morning to kick off the day. And I
got
usually
it.
send them a good morning message and be like, hey, like, good morning, welcome to your day. Can't wait to get started. And
Okay.
then we dive on in. And I tell them to have their phone on them for in case I need anything. But usually we don't really need anything until that three to five time slot where we're going back and forth with them on any changes.
Okay, so that also takes us a little bit to like you're doing 9 hours and you have two
Yeah.
team members.
Yeah.
I do 6 hours with one team
Uh-huh.
member, and 45 minutes of that is training. So that is like my takeaway for right now is like I'm gonna be making those videos and we're not doing trainings because I could use
Yeah.
that hour to like do a website.
Well,
Um,
and you do the prep call on the day of too, right? Or like the quote unquote prep that I
we
do.
like, yes, we do. We hop on for like 20 minutes
Yeah.
just to make sure I'm like on the same page. It usually doesn't last long.
Yeah.
It's usually more like being honestly like encouraging, like you've got because they're like, I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm like, don't even worry. It's like more of that. So
Yeah.
maybe they just need a Starbucks gift card from me. I think that they
Yeah.
do. I
Just
think they
sweet
do.
treat. I try to always, I don't remember what it is. There's something to be, or there's like a rule in selling where you like or what is it? You sandwich in the good experiences. So if you start the experience with something good, you have something in the middle, and then at the end, it's good. And so we do that with like the personal video at the beginning, the Starbucks gift card, and then at the end, like the big final farewells. And we send them some emails to follow up with them after. But like just kind of sandwiching in those like happy, like, oh, cool, that's nice moments.
Yeah. So talk about what do you currently charge? And is that what you started at for VIP days?
No. So we charge 3,800 right now. We do offer payment plans, so it spreads it out over 4 months. But whenever I started, the very first ones that I did were $800.
I started
And
at 450.
yeah,
You
which
know?
everybody, like you need to start at those lower
Yep.
prices. You're figuring out how to do it. So, but yeah, I started at $800, and I don't know if it's the first one or the second one of the very first two that I did, they paid me $800. They were making on average like $2,000 a month. They launched their new website, and in that next month, like an offer with the website, and they had over $40,000 that month come in. And I was like, oh my God, the power of the one day website. We literally did this in a day, and you're telling me you went from 2,000 to over $40,000 a month? Come on. And it just goes to show like just having the website as a tool to make sales so that they're not having to DM you and you're not having to send them an invoice every time makes the world of difference as a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. So you said you have a payment plan. your projects don't vary in terms of what you charge. It's just that same
Not
amount, right?
really.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have and I try to standardize everything because that just helps, again, streamlining the process. We're able to automate, we're able to like just make, I'm all about simplifying. And
Yeah.
so we do the 3,800. They do get a bit of a discount if they were to do the brand and website combo. I think they get like $1,000 off if they get the two of them.
Hmm.
And then the only other like varying pieces is if they want to blog, we charge $200 extra because there's extra setup that goes into that. And then if they want the mini brand, we have it as like an add-on to the design day. And so that's $500 extra.
Hmm.
And basically what that entails is at the beginning of the design day, we put apart 2 hours to do a logo, colors, fonts,
Oh, you're
send
doing
it,
logo
get it
too.
approved. Sometimes, yeah, think of the mini brand. And then we get that approved and then we pull that into the website. But that's
Okay.
kind of the only varying pieces of it.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I was at that 1850 mark for a long time. And like I said, had some trouble getting people to do some of the pre-work. And you really need colors and fonts. Like you
Yeah.
just do. And it can, if you don't get that and you don't nail that, it can really take a turn for the worse. So I
Yeah.
now do require them to have that figured out. And so I have some brand designers on tap, $400. I got like
Yeah.
4 or 5 to commit, and that's my like add-on price that I
Yeah.
require. And I actually feature that price, 2250. And then if they say I have colors, and I'll that's kind of way I over deliver. I'm like,
That's
actually, let me
smart.
take
Yeah.
$400 off. Like,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
nice.
so a little expense. So we kind of you have touched a ton on ways that you just like surprise and delight, you know? And
Uh-huh.
one thing that I saw you do, like the extra resources, love that. One thing I saw you do was the birthday card. So I want you to talk about,
Yeah.
because I think that's great.
Yeah, so one of the questions whenever we onboard our clients is I have a place where they can fill out a Google form and let us know their birthday and their address. And whenever they do that, it goes into our Google Calendar. And then once a month, we send out birthday cards to all the clients for that month. And it's just a really fun way of staying in touch with them after the fact and getting like a physical way that I write a handwritten note on all of it. So it's just a nice way to stay in touch with them. And we even have like a QR code that they can scan that takes them to a page with free resources and all kinds of goodies on the website
Yeah.
and also even like a discount on the hourly rate for their birthday. And so it's just a fun way to stay in touch with people and continue that relationship past the design day.
Yeah, so good. I think that's just absolutely brilliant. I'm also listening to everything you're doing. How many hours a week are you working?
I do work a lot, but it's not, I feel like it's a normal week. Like I used to have
Okay.
to work all the weekends and I don't necessarily work weekends anymore. Like if
Okay.
I do, it's because I want to and I'm like doing some fun passion project or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's during the week,
Okay.
normal
Okay.
hours.
Totally fine. I mean, if you are passionate about it, like I think there's no right or wrong answer. I think a lot of times we get told in this entrepreneur world, like hustle or don't hustle. Like you shouldn't
Yeah,
define your success by work, or you should like it's
it's
whatever
all
you
different.
want, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
working 15 to 20 hours a week because it's what works for my family, but I'm not telling
yeah,
everybody else that that's what they need to do. And if I didn't have
yeah,
kids, I probably would do 40 to 50 hours a week and I would love it because
yeah.
I work. So there's
Yeah.
no definition of
Um,
success.
And I have too, in the last 2 months, we got another designer to help out, and she is kind of in charge of the retainer projects.
Uh-huh.
So, like, while Colin and I are doing design days and we have the 4 back-to-back, she's able to keep up with the retainer requests that are coming in and do some of the designing for them. And so that really helps too, because that I hired her because I was starting to have to work more than I was wanting to. And I was like, okay, let's get some help here. I don't need to be doing a lot of things, and that's really helped.
Yeah. And so the last question is kind of also a personal question. Well, a lot of these have been. But I get pretty overwhelmed after Web Santa days. Like I need a week to recover. So how are we doing 3 to 4 in a week?
I honestly, it's kind of like running a marathon. We were talking earlier. You don't just go out and run a marathon, you like train up for it. And I think it's just because we've done so many over the years. And I mean, our process being so streamlined really helps because it really is something that I enjoy doing. It literally like brings me so much passion every day whenever I get to go from nothing to something at the end of the day. It's so cool for me. But yeah, I think the process that's in place and then just getting to the point where like a 1 day website is just a normal day in the office at this point.
Yeah.
It's not anything that's too out of the extraordinary. It's just something we do.
Yeah. Takes a while to get there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Work up to it, but it's nice once you're like you just starts flowing and you get in a rhythm with it.
yeah. I love that. Okay, do you have any freebies to share, any offerings that people can get connected with you?
Yeah, for sure. So I do have, if you're a designer listening, I have a course coming out later this year, and I'll give the link to the wait list, and we can put in the what's it called? The caption.
Yeah, the
Caption
caption.
the video so you can sign up for the wait list there to get notified when it's available. And then if you're a business owner and you just want some help with your website, we have a free strategic website design planner. And basically it'll kind of walk you through the thought process of what pages do I need? Who's my target audience? All the things that are really great to think about beforehand so that you can go in, fill it out, and feel more confident with the website that you're putting out. So I'll give the link for that too.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much for getting on. And if you guys have any questions for Bailey, you can go over to Instagram. It's Honeywave Creative, not her name. So
Yeah.
I'll link that
Thank
as
you.
well. But we are, or put them in the comments in the below, and I will
Yeah.
be happy to answer them as well. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks so much for having me.